Hey, Victor. You're online, Victor. Brian. Nice to see you, Brian. Cheryl, hi. I think Victor disappeared, but let me get him back on. Victor, you're on now. You're on. Well done. Well done.
Yeah, I can.
You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, all right. I see guys are joining in. They're saying hello, so maybe we can give them a minute or two.
Not a problem.
Yeah. Hey, running mama 254. Julie, welcome, Julie. I'm waving. Can wave back. No. So I think because of time we have 12 on, we'll give another 3 minutes. I think 606 sounds like a beautiful number. We can try that and get started.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that should be okay.
Maybe the guys who are online, because we have blocked our phones from in the other things, you can just alert maybe guys on the groups that I think I can switch to WhatsApp, but this, I don't know, to touch something and then mess up. But at 6:06 we'll start. Those who have not seen Victor when he's not in a mountain, there he is, not fighting with mountains and some unique terrain. Yeah.
Yeah. Most likely, most have not seen me in office clothes.
I know. Sometimes, In
Yeah.
fact, the interesting thing, I have people who think that who know me from running and some who know me from work. So, and sometimes the two meet and they can't tell, they are not able to tell that it's the same person. So it's very interesting because I guess our running is a lot out there.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Uh, Bwana Gachero is saying home clothes. Please feel free to work any comments. And of course, I'll give a brief as we start. Oh, Victor, I don't know if you can see the comments, but Running Mama 254. You can see them, yeah?
Yeah, I can see that.
Yes, I think the seated one is a unique one. Eh? That's very interesting, actually, to look at it from that angle. Rachel, karibu. Joshua Kimkun, karibu sana. I think you have a lot of inspiration from Victor and others. Chariot, well done and thanks for joining. Ili WWX joined. I waved. Lydia Miringu is there. Thank you for joining us. Wambui White Johi, karibu sana. Julie Pauline, Nzebi, well done. So I think we are getting to 6:06. Kindly, you can alert. Thanks, Brian, for the compliment about this event, this show. You can alert the guys in your various forums that we are on. Kibaria Travel, karibu sana. So I think because I like to keep time and we'll have a lot to look at, I can just start by briefing us on Breaking Barriers. Breaking Barriers Kenya is an initiative by FitnessWithDavid. I guess many know that I've got that outfit for fitness. Of course, dwelling a lot on running, but centered around fitness. And in my interaction with various people, I've listened to many stories, and I'm a good listener, I believe. And over time, I've been telling myself, there's such nice stories out there, and they're never told. And sometimes, or many times, many of us are struggling with some certain issue, whether training or otherwise. And we could easily get motivation from people just within. We don't even have to go that far to books, podcasts, and YouTube. Right around us, we have those people who can give us that kind of a motivation. So I've toyed over this idea to start, and of course, it has taken a bit of time, but I guess now it's good time, and we are hoping that this forum will be able to show us all about the possibilities that exist within us and around us, and be able to help us get the inspiration we need, the motivation. I think it's best that we can be able to get that motivation from people who are, flesh and blood that we see. I mean, I can attest that Victor struggles. If I'm talking about a guy like, or a lady like Sherian, I might think that lady belongs to a certain league. But Victor is a guy I've seen on a day-to-day, the likes of others that I see around. So it's easier for us to identify with. And that way we can then get inspiration within and with around people who we can actually reach out and ask, how do you do this? How do you go about this? In addition to that, just to move that a little further, we can then use those initiatives to help maybe give insights to, say, for example, someone who wants to get to a 42 kilometers. I struggled a lot to get to 42. I think then there are a few people. And of course, there's a story of the sub threes. We struggled, and we still work on that. But if you have the right, you can be able to reach out to the right person, then you can be able to easily go through that without hitting all the landmines that they hit, which is the whole idea. In addition to that, again, we can also use those forums. When we break barriers, we might choose to use that barrier to probably bring out an issue that we're passionate about. For example, we know there are people who have run for cancer, who have run for various initiatives. We can say that when we break a barrier, then we'll use that to bless others with that kind of a thing. So without further ado, I want to introduce to us our guests, Victor Miringu. Victor, karibu sana.
Asante.
Yes, I first started seeing Victor in runs that I joined, running with the Swaras. Eventually, I think we were in the grind with him in a number of races. I particularly remember one race when I was trying to go to Service E Standard Chartered Marathon, and they are running with Joshua. And I really outpaced myself, and I think the first half I was ahead. So you know the way that those numbers are instantial. So you see them on this side, you're ahead, you're feeling good. But by 21 kilometers, my friend, these guys were inching in. My legs were finished. They passed me. I have never walked so much in a race. And I actually performed way poorer than I had done the previous race. But these are the lessons that we carry along. Of course, we have ran many others. I think we have trained in Gong. We have raced Kili a lot. And every time I saw Victor and Kili, I was like, this guy runs mountains. And he had not even gotten to the level he is at. So I was always like, wow, this man, hey, we give him some space. Yeah, but eventually, I think Victor then took off. He grew wings and left the rest of us who didn't develop wings and started running elsewhere. And then we all know that he runs up the mountains. So Victor born 44 years ago in July, and when I looked at the birth date, I thought, oh, maybe that's why this fella is okay with the ice and there's no up in the mountains. So anyway, a chemical and process engineer. That was fascinating because I'm an engineer and sometimes it's not known that I am. But today is about Victor, father of two, a girl 7 years old and a boy 4 years. And he does what we call sky running. I wondered where this came from, and when I researched, I realized that there's even an international body for sky runners. I didn't know, but sky running is a sport of mountain running up to or exceeding 2,000 meters or 6,600 feet. Where the minimum average incline is 6% over the total distance, and at least 5% has an incline of 30% or more. So they not only make it hard, they even define how hard part of the hard is. But basically, in a nutshell, that is that. So welcome to Breaking Barriers again. So Victor, I think you can officially again say another hello to the people who are online.
Good. Yeah.
And then
Good. Hi, everyone. And David, really, thanks for having me here. Good.
Yes, karibu sana. So, Victor, I know I did mention a few things about you, but I believe there's so many other achievements that you have. Maybe you could highlight a few key ones because I know you have ran in races where you run day and night, etc., and you will define it better. You can just highlight a number of those that people, because people may have heard of one and not the other. So maybe highlight some of your achievements in running.
Good. Thanks, David. Yeah. Now, I think the one which comes to mind immediately would be two of the giants, and that's a race in the Alps. Where it is actually 338 kilometers, which we had to run in 150 hours. That was the cutoff time, and the distance, yeah, it's huge, but it's the climbing that really gets to you, and the total elevation gain, was about 26,000 meters. If you think about it, that's like 3 times Everest. And for me, I initially I thought 6 days or 150 hours is not much, but I have to say I needed each and every hour of that. So I managed to do it in 145 hours. Managed about 6 hours of sleep, over the 6 days. But yeah, that was a big one for me in terms of time. Not a great achievement, but in terms of what I learned from it, really some great learning. And that's something I wouldn't mind doing again. One which also comes to mind immediately is not a race, but an event we had organized locally. That's with Chariot, Limo, and the Solomon team, and that's the Mount Kenya three routes challenge, where we get to run and walk or hike or speed hike Sirimon route, Chogoria route, and Narumoru route all at once, non-stop. The first time we were successful, we actually did it in about 40 hours, with no sleep. Actually, the sleep we got was on rocks along the way. Now that I think was a major one. And since then, that 40 hours has been, improved tremendously by Chariot, who managed to do it in 24 hours. Other achievements, if you look at last year, November, I ran Ultra Trail Cape Town, 100 kilometers. This is a race with about over 4,000 meters of elevation gain. I have to say, that was a really good race. You'd think that we don't have really good races in Africa, but that was a fantastic race, well organized, to the level to the international levels. Did it in about 15 hours, which was my target, which was really great for me. And most recently, I would mention in February, Kilimanjaro managed to go in and out in less than 14 hours. So probably I should start by those. I'm sure we'll mention a number of others as we go along.
Wow. Amazing, Victor. I thought I knew a quarter of you, but it looks like, a half of what you have done, but it looks like I know a drop in the ocean. And this is so inspiring. So you hear chased by buffaloes, 6 hours sleep. When I think about the 6 hours sleep, and myself preparing for comrades, I panic when my sleep is not 4 hours in a night. And now look at what you've got. Yeah. So it's really, really amazing. So Victor, what drives you? There are people here who are asking, how do you do it? And many of us asking, why do you do it? So what drives you, Victor, to do these things?
Yeah. And that's a good question. That's a good question. And sometimes it's really hard to answer it. But
yeah.
Tell you what, David, I think for me, I like challenges, the big challenges or big adventures that would make me think, or make me have jitters for weeks and months. Then I'll know that's something worth doing. And it is those jitters that, takes me out, to train, to go out there. Otherwise, if it's not for, that, there's nothing, to look forward to. So that drives me a lot. That drives me a lot.
Yeah.
And just to give you an example, I ran. I think I ran my first marathon after I'd already done, 2 Oceans Marathon. So, I actually started with an ultra before going into marathons. And for me, the bigger, the better, the more scary, the better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for me also what drives me, and especially with the mountains, I like outdoors, David, if you're on Gong Hills, 6:30 a.m. in the morning, I have to say that's the scenery at that time is nothing you'd expect. It just takes your breath away. Yeah. And that I look forward to, and that's why I wake up that early in the morning, just to be out there, especially over the weekends. And unfortunately, time is limited and there's so much to do, but I make the most out of what I have.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So you're the guys who climb the tree from the top, eh?
Yeah, you
run an ultra, then come and run a full marathon. Those guys of wet feet don't touch. Okay, let's confirm it straight, eh? But good job. And Victor, I know because you didn't just start running in the mountains, etc. And people might be wondering, where did you start? Where did your running journey start? Maybe you can take us through a bit of that, just for people to appreciate that there was once a time that Victor started with a certain step.
Yeah. Yeah. As far as I can remember, David, I've been active throughout, high school with the games, basketball, rugby. When I went to college, started biking, and gym. But after college, gym was not interesting anymore, and I started picking up running on and off. And I remember during the Stanchart Marathon, and that was way back in 2010. I was trying to hit 1 hour 30 minutes, and I just couldn't get there. And that's the only race I knew. Yeah, a friend of mine mentioned about joining a club. I never knew clubs existed, for recreational. And, at one time, I think it was in 2013 or 2014, I joined a Banswara's running club. And I have to say, that's where a whole new world of running just opened up. With starting to learn about running shoes, training plans, races. I never knew any race existed other than Stanchart. I was amazed people travel internationally just to go race. And I have to say, and actually a short while afterwards, in 2014, that's where I got my first sub 130 in a half marathon. Then obviously, it's expected you move to full marathons. Then my first marathon was in 2016, and this is the it was Kilimanjaro marathon. I remember, I didn't train. My training plan was not very good. I did a 3 hours 40 minutes, which I was really happy about. Before that, I'd done two oceans, in 4 hours 30 minutes. That's about 56 kilometers. So yeah, and so that has been my running journey, really. Yeah, to say, with marathons, I think it got to a place where I had to make a decision on what do I really like, because I remember in 2020 training for Kili Marathon, and I wanted to get a sub 3. And I really put in the training. I have to say, that's something really I did not enjoy. Yeah, it's not for me. But I still put in the training. I managed 3 hours 42 seconds.
I think we went together that one.
Yes, we did. And after that, I decided, probably it's about time I really go into things I love. So that's how that's my just a brief history of my running journey.
Yeah. So at what point did you, so that is the point at which you switched then to the mountains. But from my own experience, when I first went, I've only gone to the mountain once, Kili. I took 7 days. And when I went there, I was told, please, this is not a race. Don't run, people collapse, etc. So I stayed at the back of the park all the time. At what point did you realize that you can actually run the mountains? Because I know I've joked with you that you must have more lungs than the rest of us combined. At what point, I guess that development has come over time. Maybe there's someone here who wonders, how do you get to that level of running up the mountains? Maybe how do you practice, etc.?
Yeah, and that's a really, really good question. And but I started actually with the mountains way before running. So I did Mount Kenya, but this is just hiking. First time actually I started with Kili in 2008. And also did Kenya the first time in 2008. And over the years, I've done Rwenzori, Siemens Mountain in Ethiopia, and my hiking and running were two different activities. And it never clicked to me that they can be done, in the same event. So I used to
Yeah.
do, my hiking, photography as a different thing, running, as a completely separate one. It's until, my friends and I had done, all the mountain in East Africa, Ethiopia, also went to Himalayas, in 2017 to climb a peak called Mira Peak, which is 6,400. Then the same year, we actually, some friends and Cheriot was also there in 2017. We just decided, let's go to Mount Kenya and see if we can do a day hike. Huh?
Yeah.
And it's after that, for me, hope, a lot of things opened up, combining, mountains, runnings. I remember in 2019, Cheriot inviting me for his birthday run in Mount Kenya. And the challenge was actually to go up to Lenana 3 times within 24 hours, same route. Huh? And for me, I was up to the challenge. I don't think I don't think I had understood the challenge very well when I left Nairobi. So he had to explain to me very well on our way there and when we go to the mountain. So that's when we did our first 24 hours Mount Kenya. I managed to do it twice. Cheriot actually attempted the third time. It was his birthday, so he couldn't fail to do it. But it's 2 things that I used to do separately. Then at one point, that's in 2017, just realized actually this is one and the same thing. Eh? And that's when I really picked it up. Eh?
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Fascinating. For those who are online, thank you again for joining us. There is a quick question button, just in case you may have some questions, because I may not capture all the questions that you may have. Then we'll have a Q&A after we complete with Victor, so that you can be able to ask specific questions. There is also a place where you can put comments. So Victor, of course this is the nice part, the achieving part, the travel part, etc. But you know that like an iceberg, only 10% is up there. The 90%, which is the work, is hidden down there. And we know that an iceberg has sunk even a Titanic. So let's talk about the iceberg. So and before you go to the iceberg, just for us to understand, what does your daily routine look like, so that we can be able to appreciate that you have a routine that you have to work around.
Okay, good. Now, my daily routine. Now let's start from morning.
Yes.
So I'm usually up at about 4 a.m. Every day. So I read. So I usually take an hour or 2 reading in the morning. Then immediately after, now one of the things I've really found useful is part of my training and also running is I can actually run to work. Instead of separating the two, running, freshening up, then going to work. So on a daily basis, I just commute to work through running. So, and it's about 14 kilometers, but I get to, depending on what training I'm doing, I increase it up to 21. I do my intervals on my way to work. I do my speed runs on my way to work. I do my slow runs on the way to work. So I'd say it's something which I've started about, was it 3 years ago, and really found useful. Obviously, I get to work, I freshen up, and like what everyone thinks, I actually have a day job. People usually, I used to sing mountain pics of me and think that's my daily run. That's my usual job. But no, as you mentioned, I have an 8 to 5 job. I run a manufacturing facility somewhere along Thika Road. Now that's up to 5. Then obviously at 5, I'm back home. As you started, I'm a family man, so it's all kids, homework, you know, getting the kids to sleep, then that's when I now also get my own time, you know, to sleep. Then it's a typical, I think, everyone's else day. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
Wow.
just a summary of what I do. But it changes over the weekend. That changes, you know, tremendously, because that's when I put my long runs and you know, or time on my feet. And this could range from about, you know, I could be up at 2 a.m., you know, to travel to the mountain. I get there, start my runs at about 6, and this could end up being the, you know, like 12 hours. Then I have to get back home again same day, because I need to be back, you know, to do my my duties as a husband and dad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So that's just.
So Martin wants to give me his card. So he just wants to confirm that he also ran back to work. So he's actually ran to work. So he's not giving. How does this man get back home? I hope he doesn't run back home.
Now, yeah, that's a good question. So some days, not every day, some days I actually do
Yeah.
morning and evening, you know, like once or two times a week. But the rest of the days, you know, either my wife picks me from office or I use a Uber. Yeah, so
Yeah.
no, I don't put two runs in a day every day. That would be too
Yeah.
much for me. Yeah.
So Martin, while you're casting in traffic, Victor is getting his workout. So you may want to borrow a link. So again, in that process, I'm just curious, for two things for myself as we look at the questions. How do you practice not to sleep? So, for example, what was supposed to be your longest run, or what would be your longest run for what you're training for? And how do you practice not to sleep? Because I think for me, I'm just imagining you're practicing how to sleep and you just sleep. How do you do that?
Yeah, and that's a good question, and it's a difficult one. It's a difficult because, first of all, you have to plan to sleep in advance. Yeah. Like an example, when we go to Mount Kenya, do you have a 24-hour run where we know we won't sleep day and night? We make sure that we start at a time where it will allow us to at least log in some sleep. Let's say if you're starting at 2 a.m. in the morning, then you make sure by 7 a.m. you're on the mountain and you're asleep. You know, you wake up early enough so that at least you start your 2 a.m. run. But you know, it's you have to do it. You have to be out there. You know, run when we are sleep deprived, so that you can know how to, you know, to go about it. Because you know, when and the tricky bit for me is, yeah, you'll feel sleepy. Sometimes you'll have to actually, you know, sit down and take that 5 minute nap, which we have actually found very helpful. If you're really struggling with sleep, you know, just sit down somewhere, you know, take that 5 minute nap, and it's powerful. It works. But if you cannot do that because of the elements, you know, it could be too cold or it's raining, you just need to keep moving. Keep moving. One of the things that you'll definitely encounter is hallucinations, and especially when you are sleep deprived, you know, tired, and you cannot stop them. You just have to appreciate, you know, get to know what you're going through, you know, appreciate them as hallucinations. You know, you'd expect to see very vivid images, and we've had fun with Chariot with what we see along the way. You know, we've seen lions, hyenas, you know, elephants, and you sometimes, you know, you're hallucinating, but you just have to confirm. So no, it's you can't fight sleep sometimes, and it's just how do you deal with it. And you know, just to know when it's safe to go on, when it's probably safe to take that break. But for you to practice on a daily, you know, on a weekdays, you know, it's quite tough to do that. But over the weekends, you just have to be there running at night.
I need that manual for practicing how to hallucinate. And I probably, if I took a 5 minute nap, I'd probably be woken up way after the race is finished. Anyway, moving on. I guess there's also some interesting stuff, and we need to move on to others. So because of all these things, what's your support system like? What do you have around you that helps you support, helps you keep going?
Good support system. I think I have to start with first of all, I have a very supportive wife. She understands what I do. Sometimes we try to go to the mountains together. Sometimes she's unable, but that works very well for me. Knowing that I'm supported on that front, but also we have quite a good group, the Solomon team, where by ourselves we are a support. By ourselves, we are a support system, where we go to at least once a month. We go out and log in some proper hours, in terms of. And I'll just give an example. Like last weekend, we were supposed to go for a 24-hour run. And it's quite difficult to do that on your own. And if you have a team that you share the same objective, makes it very easy, and you love doing it. So that's basically it's not much, but works for me very well. But mostly most of the run I do them solo, and I've managed. I like them. I appreciate the fact that not everyone would want to do what I do, and probably and just get to know if it's how do I get that support when I'm out there. There are no shops that you can just or ndudi that you can just get and come back to. Is to know when to bail out. Make sure you have carried enough food to last you as long as you're out there. So it's basic, very basic, but works for me.
Yeah. Okay, all right. That is good. So, that has answered quite some number of questions. Of course, we set out to do our best, but every so often we hit some bumps. Some we jump over, go through, etc. But sometimes we are held back by injuries, by some failures, our expectations, and these are bound to happen. Maybe you can tell us about a few, so that because maybe what people see out there is probably the wins. Just talk about the challenges that you face, the failures, injuries, and how you handle them to be able to keep going to the next and the next one.
Good. That's a good one, really good one. And I have to say, most of what I've been doing, or we've been doing with the team, is through trial and error. And I have to say the failures are more than the successes. Before we actually managed to do the first 3 routes on Mount Kenya, we actually had quite a number of attempts. We started by scouting the routes. Then eventually we set a date and we went out there. You load your map into Garmin's. You get up there and your Garmin just freezes and dies. Quite a number. I remember on Mount Kenya on this particular day, I'm the one who had the map loaded in my watch, and Chariot hadn't loaded, and my watch just froze. And it's a Garmin, so it just had the blue triangle on the screen. And we did the familiar parts of the routes, but when it came to the Chogoria route, which we're not very familiar with, we still attempted it, but we totally got lost, and we ended up back in one of the routes. Now we thought about going back to redo the trying to find the route back again. But with the mountains it's tricky, because once, and especially where we were at Shiptons, every kilometer takes about 30 to 45 minutes. So you'd imagine we were lost by about 3 kilometers. So recovering that would take us about 2 hours. So we made that completely failed. The next time we tried it again, I'm the one who developed stomach issues. Actually, I ate the wrong stuff, and before the run, I knew I was in problems because I was clearly having loose motions. Then getting into the run, I was really weak. The rest of the team clearly were flying and left me, and on that particular time, and that's when Chariot actually did the 24 hours, I had to bail out. And bailing out is different because, once you start, you have to go back to the start. So I'd already covered 33 kilometers and I had to come back another 33 kilometers, and my stomach, was not good. I was very weak. We've had occasions actually when we were not very familiar with sleep, how to manage sleep, how to go through it. And I remember this time when we attempted the first 3 routes with Chariot. We were just walking and Chariot was behind me, and I think I was staggering along the way. I was clearly sleeping and walking, and Chariot noted this and started laughing, and was wondering, well, why are you laughing? And we ended up actually just trying out to shield ourselves from the wind on a rock to sleep for 5 minutes, which really worked very well for us. And that's something which I learned. And after that, we just moved on with it. So, and most recently, and I know, Captain, we talked about this. It was the day you were launching the show, and I wasn't able to come for the run because I had to log in my mountain runs at Longonot. And it was a beautiful day. I got there early enough at 6:30. Now very familiar there with the Rangers. They asked me, how many loops are you doing today? For some reason on that particular day I did not answer I just told them, let's see how this goes. Then on my way up, I could see, at the top of the mountain rim, there were clouds, and I could tell, it will be chilly up there, and the visibility will not be good. Went up the rim, it was nice, really nice day. I was all alone. I was the first person on Mount Longonot. Got to the rim. Then I could see hooves, and there were very fresh hooves on the route, and they were clearly not zebras, because I know how zebra hooves look like. They're just like donkeys. And I know.
Do you slap yourself to check if you're hallucinating?
No. It was early in the morning, and I'm sure I was not hallucinating. So, and I know there are no cows up there, so I just knew, definitely, these fresh footprints could be buffaloes. But as I said, it was a really good day. I got lost in my run, started running, around the rim. Then I just ran into, buffaloes, and clearly they were not expecting someone. I startled them. I startled them. Also for me, I was really, really, I did not expect them. And I remember stopping, and I thought, okay, because the buffalo started running away, and I thought, I don't want to be in the middle of a buffalo stampede. So I just thought, let me step back, which I did. And the buffaloes, they were on both sides of the ridge, on top of the rim. And one of the buffaloes just ended up on the trail, and actually started running towards me. And I thought, this buffalo is running the wrong direction. Before it clicked, it's actually, coming after me. It took a split second. So anyway, I started running, for my dear life. And I looked back again. It was still, following me. And trail running, we know this very well. You don't lose sight of where you're stepping. And unfortunately, I did. And I tripped and landed on a rock.
Yeah.
And, you know, I remember thinking, not even the pain. I remember
Yeah.
thinking, oh, okay, probably this is how I die. But,
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
you know, luckily, I looked back again, you know, after dropped, and Buffalo just, you know, for some reason, he just turned and left.
Yeah.
He stopped following. And, you know, I just gathered myself, you know, picked myself up, looked at my foot. It was clearly bruised because I'd landed on a and that was what, about 2 weeks, more than 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm usually very lucky. I don't usually get you know, running injuries a lot, but
Mm.
for 2 weeks now, I haven't been able to run.
Yeah.
But managing it, you know, with physio and rest and
Yeah.
some cardio work. So yeah, behind the scene, what people don't get to see,
Yeah.
you know, quite some interesting stories.
Yeah, I see. I see. Wow, that's actually amazing. And I know in one of the posts that the team that did the Mount Kenya this weekend, Kinalimo and Chariot, someone asked, "Huko hakuna wanyama hamuogopangi?" So now when you are doing those things, how do you figure out how to avoid these things, or you just decide to coexist and hope for the best?
No, tell you what, the animals
Yeah,
stay completely away from you know, normal human traffic.
yeah,
And
yeah,
we are lucky such that, you know, you follow the, you know, the normal routes.
yeah,
You know, most likely you not encounter animals. But it was
yeah,
different for me at Longonot. But
yeah,
nowadays we've started exploring, you know, out of the normal, what we call the well-trodden paths, and we are going to,
yes,
you know, to visit lakes or towns that haven't been visited before. And chances
yeah,
are that you will encounter animals.
yeah,
But for us, I think it's there's safety in numbers. You wouldn't do such a challenge on your own, and that's why we do it
yes,
once a month. And you know, we get the right people together. Yeah.
yes,
And I tell you, we haven't learned, you know, much about animals or how to deal with them. But I guess that's
yes,
something, you know, especially with my incident at Longonot, I would be really
yeah,
interested just to get to know how should I have handled that situation differently. Yeah, because
good,
I'm
yeah,
certain there would have been a better way of handling it.
yeah, lessons learned, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Martin is asking, are you sure? So Martin, tuonane nyuma ya tent, tutaexplainiwa. So Victor, I know sometimes in these races it can get very tough, and I know all of us as runners, athletes, mountaineers, bikers, because this forum is about sports and wellness, not necessarily just running. There is a time that it gets so tough, or you're so beaten, and you ask yourself, you know, where am I here? Why do I keep doing this again and again? So, what goes through the mind when your mind when this moment come? Is there something you hold on to keep going, to keep you going, to make you not give up?
Yeah, and it's a number of things. It's a number of things.
Yeah,
And I'll start. I'll give, you know, like examples. You know, like last year at UTCT, that Ultra Trail Cape Town.
yes,
Uh, so I had a target of 15 hours, and you know, unfortunately, I kept missing the turns or the marks, and you know, I
yeah,
kept getting lost, and you know, I lost quite considerable time.
yeah,
And you know, I was clearly uh, not going to hit the 15 hours if this went on, and I was, you know, I was losing motivation. But there's this there's this thing about you having set a target, and you know, if you miss it, probably you'll be back here again. That just really gets you moving. And I
yeah,
remember, I I kept getting lost, but once I get to the path again, you
yeah,
clearly have to run in such a way that you will recover those mileage. I remember,
yeah,
the last 10 kilometers, I climbed those hills, you know, until a lady, you know, just mentioned to me, you know, you're climbing these hills as if you've just started. You know, so, you
Yeah.
know, I've already covered 90 kilometers. And the last
Yeah.
4 kilometers, you know, was downhill, and I sprinted downhill. And clearly I
Yeah.
was tired, but you know, just determined to you know, to hit that time, and I did hit the time.
Yeah.
You know, the other bit is for me, you know, what gets us going is, you know, unfortunately at the mountain, you know, you don't have, sometimes your way out is to just get out and
Yeah.
to stay alive, you know, you have
Yeah.
to keep moving, and that keeps you moving. Yeah. You don't have
Yeah.
an option of, you know, of giving up.
Not
Or
moving. I see.
you,
Like you said, there is no duty, there is no helicopter. You just have, even if you're in trouble, you have to get yourself out of that trouble. I see. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, do you have someone, you know, at your level? Of course, we are the ones asking you questions.
yeah.
Everyone is looking up to you. Everyone is thinking this man has the answers to all the questions. Is there someone you look up to at your level, you know, to a coach, a role model, or someone you look up to?
Yeah, good. Yeah, not really a coach, but you know, a model for me would definitely be, you know, elite ultra runners, and they're quite good ones out there. You know, there's this lady called Courtney DeWalter, and she's an American, and she's just amazing. You know, she runs, you know, effortlessly. You know, she doesn't have a very strict training regime, and she's just, and she ran in the same race I ran with. I ran last year at a train Cape Town, and she did it in 11 hours. You know, she was top 10 among the men. And
Wow.
these are people, you know, I just follow. You read about what do they do. You know, they're
Yeah.
down to earth. There's you know, there's Kilian Jornet. You know, and that's the most. You know, the guy climbs. You know, he's climbing and he's descending. You know, technical trails.
Yeah.
He's actually better at technical trails than flat trails.
Yeah.
You know, and those are the people I look up to. And of course, you know, there's Kipchoge. You know,
Yeah.
his mental strength, his ability, you know, to focus on the goal.
Yeah.
And you know, for me, it's not even that, just at that level. Even at my own level, you know, recreational,
Yeah.
there are people I look up to, and
Yeah.
for different aspects. You know, if you look
Mm.
at someone like Wing K, you know,
Mm.
I love how his ability to plan in details. And you
Yeah.
know, I've ran in a number of runs that he's planned for, and he develops very detailed manual on, you know, how to run it and share it with everyone.
Yeah.
That's something which you know, definitely I don't have, and you know, would like to learn from him.
Yeah.
Look at people like you know, James Moher. I like his tenacity. The
Mm.
first time I met James was the first time we organized for 3 routes, and I
Yeah.
thought he would be joining us to run, but he said no. You know, he'll do it on his own, and started, you know, from a different route, and still did it on his own.
Yeah.
And you know, he's like a good example is like the other day when we went to Abadeas, he clearly forgot his food, but that was not something to take, you know, for him not to deny him the challenge. He still went ahead and did it without food, you know, for
Yeah.
12 hours. You know,
Yeah.
look at people like Limo. Limo, I just love how that guy thinks. You know, he comes up with some other crazy wild plans, and you wonder,
Yeah.
you know, who'd be thinking about these?
Yeah.
You know, people like, you know, someone like Cheriot. And
Yeah.
Cheriot is, I would put him, you know, same as Courtney DeWalter. That guy
Yeah.
climbs effortlessly. You should see that, you know, Cheriot climbing hills.
Yeah.
It doesn't put in a lot of effort, but you cannot keep up with him. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely the people I look up to, you know, both at elite level and recreational.
Yeah.
You know, and that keeps me going.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
fascinating, and especially to have those around us, and that's what we are talking about in breaking barriers, that
Yeah.
we have so many stories. In fact, they are amazing around us, and we hope to be talking about them in due course. I know we see your diet with gels, etc. And someone has asked, what food do you carry up the mountains? Maybe you'll tell us about the food you carry up the mountains, but importantly, what is your routine day-to-day diet that helps to support this kind of training? And for those who may have joined us late, there's a question button there, so I'm tackling the questions as we go by. So that when we finish, we'll probably only have a few to tackle. So we are still in good time. We may extend by 10 or so minutes, but we'll be fine, I hope.
Good. Now, in terms of my day-to-day diet, I'm not really keen, I have to say, on that. As long as it's balanced, I'm okay.
Yeah.
As long as it's balanced, I'm okay. I usually have, a heavy meal in the morning, For me, it's actually before my runs. I know other people are used to, having their meal after the run. For me, I have to have that breakfast before the run. Then, the normal, small meals during the day. So I'm not very keen on it. Now, on the mountain, and that's something which I'm still learning. So I've tried experimenting, gels, like if I'm going for 12 hours, I just carry enough gels for 12 hours. And I have to say that's a lot. That's a lot because it's, if you think about it, if you have the Rock 10 goo, you carry about 18 of those. And once you go through about 10, they really become, stale to the tongue, and you don't want to have them anymore. And you just look forward to biting something. So nowadays I've started, mixing the two, can I, and mostly is, carry chapatis, chocolate cookies, and I mix them, with goo. So I do like half, and that works. That works. So it's still something I'm learning. I don't, because I get limited time, to practice that. It's just weekends only. But nowadays, just mixing between gels and real food, chapatis and cookies, that works very well.
Yeah, I hear you. In fact, on my comrades training, the coach is very specific that the gut takes about 6 weeks to get accustomed to eating in the run. And so I've been actually practicing that. So I hear what you mean. I hear you when you say that when you eat gels, within a certain time, you actually need solid. So I'm also doing brown bread and butter and some pieces of sweet potato. So that's a good insight. Yeah. So how do you celebrate wins? Wins in terms of what you had set out to do, and And while you're at that, you can also tell us how you define success.
Good. How do I celebrate wins? That's a good one, and I'm not very good at that, I have to say. But a beer after a run or a big run would be really good. And it's usually plenty, once you finish such a big, like a TDG or, the UTCT, a beer would be good. But also part of the travel, I usually travel, with my wife, and we get to have a holiday after such a big run. And how do I define success? David, I think for me, as long as I'm doing what I enjoy, as long as I keep going out there, as long as I keep testing the limits, and I keep exploring what is outside there. For me, that's success. And I have to say, I'm really lucky that now I've identified really what I love doing and going outside there, and that's mountains and running, or being out there. And for me, success will be keep on doing it, keep exploring. There's a lot to explore in this country in Africa, a lot of other races. Success, like that.
Yeah. Okay, okay, okay. Well copied. So the story about breaking barriers is a story of challenging norms. In every experience, it's important to take stock and take lessons to encourage and inspire others. That is what breaking barriers is about. Possibilities, the journey. One person inspires another, who goes on and inspires another, who goes on and inspires another and another. And I tell guys that there may be people you may inspire because they know you, but there are people that someone else that you inspire would only. There are some people that, I mean, for example, if you inspire me, there are some people who will only be inspired if it's me doing that because they may say, "Oh, Victor runs mountains, so you is abnormal." But at least we know you are not running mountains, so we are inspired, and that person goes on and inspires others. So that's the story of breaking barriers, and we want to take the lessons. So, what would be your say three key or any lessons that we can tap into for inspiration and encouragement? What we would call our takeaway in this discussion from you, Victor?
I think for me, the easiest one that come to mind is, ultimately in this journey, you have to find, you have to find out, along the way what you love doing and keep doing it. The other one is, along that journey, do not be scared. Do stuff that scares you. Don't be afraid to test your limits, because
Yeah.
if you don't go there, you never know what is there. And also,
Yeah.
the other key takeaway for me is, in whatever you do, and especially with the mountains, I've found that planning is key. I'm one of those people who, if I know I have a run over the weekend, I usually start to plan on Monday. I have a checklist for my gear. I lay down my gear. Uh, so planning is key. You have to plan about safety. Where are you going, the route, who knows you're going there, what are the gear I'm carrying. So I have to say, get to know what you love doing. Don't be afraid to do what scares you, and just be good at planning.
Okay. Good. Good. All noted. Any mantras and values that you hold on to?
Well, mantras. No, I think probably I'm yet to discover one mantras. But in terms of values, of course, it's I think I've already mentioned it. I like testing the limits. Or whatever scares me, and as long as I love doing it, and have support from my family, that matters a lot.
Yeah.
And that is important for me. And if I can get to do what I do with my family, that would be good. And if my kids, the 7-year-old and the 4-year-old are older, probably will get to do this sometime in the future.
Yeah. 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 So that's quite good. So Victor, your upcoming challenge, maybe you can tell us about it and where you are at with that, and maybe just a brief on what it is about.
Yes. End of this month, and that is 26th of August. I'll be running Ultra Trail Mont Blanc, and this is a race which is in the French Alps. It's 170 kilometers with the total elevation gain is more than 10,000 meters. Now, I have to say, UTMB, if I can compare it with marathon, it's a Berlin Marathon in the ultra world.
Yeah.
So if you look at in terms of number of applications, so every year we have about more than 30,000 applications, and they only get to pick like 2,000.
Wow.
How I got picked, I've got no idea. The chances that you'll get picked is quite slim. It's 1 in 15. So I was very lucky to get into it.
Yeah.
But obviously, you have to accumulate enough points, to participate, and you do this by running, qualified races. So I've done TDG, the 338 kilometers, and UTCT in Cape Town. That gave me enough points to actually go for UTMB.
Yes.
So it's the cutoff time is 46 hours. Uh, Now, but I know the elites do it in slightly over 20 hours. Now, I had a target of about 30 or 32 hours.
Mm.
Less better, but 30 hours would have been good for me. But I have to say, with the Longonot incident and not having ran for the last 2 weeks, I have to start managing my expectations.
Yeah.
So I still intend to go there and do my best.
Yes.
And yeah, that's the race. An interesting bit for the race is also it starts at night. So
Yes.
so it starts at 6 p.m. So you'd imagine, so if it's more than 24 hours, I'll have to actually run through 2 nights.
Yes.
So the first night, then one day daylight, and part
Yes.
of the second night.
Yes.
Yeah, and that would be interesting, and especially Alps, it's beautiful. It's the right time of the year, so because
Yeah.
there's still it's summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say, and that's what I've been training for.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I think like you rightfully put it, as long as you give it your best under the circumstances, I think that is where the wins lie. And
yes,
I think we all know as runners, as sports people, that you can put in so much effort, but little things can come in the way. But we always say you whatever it is that whatever box you can tick, you tick. Then you deal with whatever comes your way, which is what we are saying now. But we really, really wish you well in that race. I saw it's also regarded as one of the hardest races. That is what I saw
yeah,
in Wikipedia. So, and 10,000 elevation, that is quite a lot, especially when you look at that distance. So we wish you well. So
thanks.
I'll look at the questions, and those who are coming in now, we'll just take the final questions. I think I've been asking them as we went along and mixing them with mine. So I think the one that I've asked is from Joshua Kimkum asking, do you ever suffer from attitude sickness?
Yeah, I have to say, I used to when I started hiking mountains, but with time, I've spent so much time over 4,000 feet. Uh, you know, can't remember the last time I actually, suffered mountain sickness. I have to say, if you're a hiker or if you're looking to run mountains, you just have to spend a lot of time above that altitude, above 4,000 meters, because that's where it gets you. Yeah, so
Yes.
nowadays, no, I'm lucky that I don't. But
Yes.
that is after I've really spent quite some time above 4,000 meters.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow. Wow. Okay, Joshua, I hope that answer is you have copied it well. I know you are very not just upcoming, you're already there. So we are looking
yeah,
forward to you taking over the mantle, and I think you'll be in a better place than we are because you'll have picked up, from the lessons that
yeah, yeah.
Victor and the team have. So, and I'm sure they'll be nurturing you. So as we get to the close of the session. I think one of the key takeaway lessons that I would want to go to from Victor is that we can take away from this session is find what you love and do it. Do not be scared, and that planning is key. So, Victor, any final remarks from you?
Yeah, I think
Something that you may have missed out from the questions and discussions?
yeah, I think for me, David, quite honored, that you picked me as the first guest,
Yeah.
and is to wish you all the best. And I hope this grows to be, what you intend it to be. Yeah, I think it's a platform where we
Yes.
can really learn a lot. And thanks, and
Yes.
I'm humbled, that you actually, you picked me to start,
Yeah.
the show. Yes.
Yes.
Other than that, I think to everyone, yeah, let's keep running. As you've said,
Yeah.
let's not be afraid to test our limits.
Yes, correct. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, hand clap, wave for Victor. Thank you. And we are wishing you well. You inspire all of us. We are always looking at, what you're doing next. And we shall certainly be tracking you on the 26th. And we wish you all the best with the recovery and also the race. And may you get your win in under the circumstances of the day.
Thanks, David.
So yeah. So for anyone here who may want to be covered in breaking barriers, I think there's so many stories. We intend to do one quarterly, but I see us scaling up that to a bit more frequently than that, because there's quite a lot of inspiration around us. Anyone struggling with something, you can always write to me. My email address is info@davidtuo.com. I know when we did the launch, there's a number of guys who say they want to be covered. I'm looking at that. Of course, it's not easy to decide who comes next, but maybe I'll just have a mix. And we hope to also cover cyclists, anyone in sports and wellness, for us to learn from the diversity that is around us. So info@davidtuo.com. We are also making arrangements to put this on into a repository, because we know not everyone is able to come online. So I'll be putting this up on YouTube and eventually into a podcast, so that people can listen to our fellow colleagues as they drive to work in traffic, as opposed to looking for other inspirations from elsewhere, which are also important. But it'll be good to hear from our own. So I will be sharing about that in due course, and we'll upload into the various platforms. I'm on Facebook as Fitness with David, Instagram, Breaking Barriers Kenya, and also Fitness with David, Twitter it's David too, and I'll put them there. So we have come to the end of the session. Breaking barriers is an uphill task, and it doesn't guarantee big wins or uber successes. But this uphill battle is worth the effort, as we have had, because it will allow you to look for hope and optimism. Think about it as a challenge, the potential to be your best self, and the hope is that generations that come after us will look to us to develop their own motivation and sense of being. Like Victor has said, do not operate with fear, rise to the occasion, and find what you love and do it. Thank you very, very much, and we shall be catching up in due course. Have a good evening, and see you on the next one. I'll be posting. Bye, and thanks, Victor.
Thanks, everyone. Okay, bye.
Cheers.